After you recognize that path, you have to understand and recognize something else. And that is what will happen to those people who finally go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what is the first step to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is the first step?
Understand.
Death. Death in our reality, obviously our first step in this world is to be born. But most importantly, our actual step to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is death. Now, this is something most of us in this world today are turning a deaf ear to and turning a blind eye to. You know why? Because as long as it does not concern us, we are somehow saved from it. But I know many of you here today who have some sort of relative or maybe a personal experience or so that someone died. I think Ozone Park brother Yasin. How old is he?
Yusuf.
Brother Yusuf. I thought his name was Yasin.
30.
He was 38. He was a Caucasian American Muslim, American believer. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted him to Jannah. Death is age blind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, فَإِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهُمْ لَا يَسْتَأْخِرُونَ سَاعَةً. When your time comes, your time will not be postponed. وَلَا يَسْتَقْدِمُونَ. Nor I will take away a single second. So when your designated time arrives, my dear brother, you will have to go. Now the question is, what is life after death? What is this thing? What will it happen? Will we turn into trees? Will we turn into trees? Or are we naturalists? It's a question. Will we disintegrate with the grave? Or something more logical might happen. Because something inexplicable resides within us. That is known as the ruh, the spirit. Now our flesh might die out. Our flesh, you see this right now? It might go. It might disintegrate, decay. It's going to be gone, decompose, everything. One with the ground. Agreed. The earth will eat us. Finished. What will happen to the thing that drives this body? I think, and I think most of you can agree, it will move on. It will first be questioned by the two angels by the name of? Come on guys, what are the two angels that will question us on the grave? Kiraman Katibin are the ones who are writing. Side note over here, Kiraman Katibin are not two names. Kiraman Katibin are the names of both. Kiraman means the merciful and the respected, and the high. Katibin means writers. It's not Kiraman Katibin. Most of us say Kiraman is to the right, Katibin is to the left. No. Kiraman Katibin means the quality of two angels. Who is it? Come on, we know this. Jazakumullahu khairan. Munkar and Nakir. They will come to question us. That did we recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And then did we recognize the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And then who is the one that helped us recognize the path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? A very strong question to us. It doesn't happen because you know why? Because mankind has been blinded by the money. Think about it. One of the owners of the Jackson, I think you guys have you guys been following football? Giants won. I know one of you guys are happy. Don't try to fake it. I was happy. I wasn't happy because I'm not a Giants fan. I was a Jets fan. But the Giants won. One of the owners of the Jacksonville Jaguars is you guys know him? Shahid Khan? Muslim guy. Millionaire. I mean, he's close to being a billionaire. This guy is so wealthy. It's unimaginable. Unimaginable. Money has led him to the point where he does not believe in a situation where there can be a God because it's a scientific era. It's a scientific era. We do not believe in God. But we must understand how incomplete our knowledge is, that we cannot exactly tell anything apart from everything. This is sad. This is the sad state of Muslims. That despite us being in the scientific era, we went from the Dark Ages to the ages of Renaissance. From the Renaissance, we are in the scientific era. Now, subhanAllah, we have such advancements and such progress going on in the world today. Before 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we couldn't do anything. Now, within a matter of seconds, I didn't know where I was. Through the help of GPS, I came even though the GPS got me was trash. It took me like 2 hours to get here. Now, this is something to think about. Now, you must think that all of a sudden, your faith is going to go from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to technology. Now, you might think that's a very smart thing. That instead of relying on Allah, I would rely on the scientist who can show me and pave the way for me. But unfortunately, you will have that fitrah, faith within you, no matter how far you go, how deviated you get away from deen. And the number one objective, once again, is to understand the quality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, two qualities Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explains in Surah Al-Fatiha. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. What is it? Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Well, we went over this again. Ar-Rahman means the merciful, and Ar-Rahim also means the merciful. But Ar-Rahman is, I think, go ahead, tell me, what does Ar-Rahman entail? Ar-Rahman entails that blessing which we get from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without any try. For example, the air. Without any prior effort, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us oxygen, correct? You are being given abundant oxygen. Without any effort, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a rain cycle that's being done every single moment, you understand? Without the rain cycle, can life on earth exist? Can life on earth exist? It cannot. Because the entire world will be flooded. Without rain cycle, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala extracts the waters and then brings it back down through the cloud, the condensation. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps us with the energy with the sun, and then photosynthesis, the plants, they grow. Ar-Rahim is the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we do with prior effort and work. You understand? That is the blessing of Ar-Rahim. But most of the time, we as human beings, we get blinded and we think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is only merciful. Allah has another quality in Him that most of us overlook and most of us forget, and that is Ya ayyuhan nasu ttaqu rabbakum. O you who believe, fear your Lord. Inna zalzalata as-sa'ati shay'un 'azim. Verily the earthquake of the hour is a very big thing. Recently, Missouri, Alabama, the South, the Midwest, they have been affected by storms. Have you guys heard? You guys haven't heard? SubhanAllah, you guys don't keep up with the news? Muslims are being, they found babies in the middle of the field. Many babies passed away. The storm ravaged the entire cities. Last year we had in a place called Branson, Missouri. But this year it went down to Alabama, it went down to many places in this down south. It destroyed houses. Finished it off. Before it was just one high school. I think the casualty has reached over 40 or 50. And then, how many of you guys have been following this Kony 2012 thing that's been going on? Have you watched it? The Invisible Children of Uganda?
Yeah, it's fake.
No, the Invisible Children of Uganda is not fake. The video might be fake, but it's a lesson to learn from, if you watch that video. We're quick to judge, isn't it? Okay, now you said it's fake. What's the benefit that you get from it? You do get benefit. It opens up your eyes. Okay, fine. The Invisible Children of Uganda might be fake. What about the Invisible Children of Palestine? What about the Invisible Children of Bangladesh? I just read it on a thing today. Bangladeshi people, because of poverty, they're selling their body parts just to get some food. Kidneys, mostly, because kidney is the one sparable part in your body that you still can survive with the other one. They're selling their kidney and they're dying just because of food. Understand? What about the invisible children of Syria? What about the invisible children of Iraq? What about the invisible children of Afghanistan? What about the invisible children of Bangladesh? What about the invisible children of Pakistan, India? What about the invisible children of China? What about the invisible children of the entire world? So just because your life revolves around you, don't forget that each and every single one of you have a perception. You know how you're looking at me with two eyes, with your own head right now. Each and every single one of you are doing that at the same moment. And do you think there's not a creator watching at every single movement of your perception? Ajib, isn't it? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us very carefully. At all times, be mindful of this. In the hadith of Gabriel, there's ihsan. Mankind has two stages of ihsan. Mankind at the very moment in stage 3. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never showed us the stage 3. The number one stage of ihsan, أَن تَعْبُدَ اللَّهَ كَأَنَّكَ تَرَاهُ. Worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you are watching Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second stage of ihsan, if you cannot watch Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then act as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you. Which stage you and I are in right now? Huh? No, we're not even in the second one. Unfortunately, we do not believe in the second one. Unfortunately. This is the stage of the ummah. If it was so, then we would be careful of how we interact with one another in this dunya, in the internet, by ourselves in our rooms, in public, in private, because we know there is a surveillance. It says outside in the masjid, the surveillance at all times, there's 24-hour surveillance. 24-hour surveillance. My dear brothers, your father is to have, most of us, we think our fathers have eagle eyes. We always say that. So if your father is to be watching you from the back at all times, how many bad deeds could you do? Or how many idiocracy things you can do? Tell me. 0. Do you believe that? That if your father was to be behind you 24 hours a day, you would be doing 0 bad deeds or 0 immoral things? 0? You guys believe that? With all due faith in that belief, do you guys actually accept it?
Not quite.
Huh?
Quite.
Not quite. Your boss? Not quite. So you would be rebellious?
You might do something.
Like?
Whatever comes in your mind.
Like? Give me an example. If you are in your office and you are working and your boss is behind you, watching you every single move, what would you do?
What are you trying to say here?
I'm trying to ask you a question. Is that if you have surveillance upon you had 24 hours a day, would you be transgressing?
Transgressing.
Doing anything that violates the law of that being that's watching you.
Maybe
if
I
my
would.
father is
Maybe I
watching me,
wouldn't. Maybe I would. Maybe I wouldn't.
What are the chances of you would?
5. Very low. You get shared each other.
Yes, I like interaction. Once again, what are the chances of you would actually do this?
There's a slight chance, because
Slight chance of what?
of doing something that's,
Okay, fine. After you do it, what are you going to get?
Trouble.
you're in trouble.
Okay, so there's a sequence. That action causes a reaction, a cause and an effect. That action causes a reaction which is negative. You understand? So you are supposed to be required to doing positive actions at all times, being under surveillance. But once you do something negative, you expect, what did you say?
A negative response.
A negative what? Reaction. Correct? Do you agree to that as well? Like, okay, let's just say, a consequence from your father, whether you're school teacher or whether your boss. Correct? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from the day you were born till the day you die, even after your death, until you go into Jannah. Even after you go into Jannah, Allah is watching you. Now, my dear brothers, tell me, if you actually believed in that, how many of us will actually transgress Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Good question. You wouldn't. Why? Because the father's negative reaction might be what? He might beat you with a hanger, take out his belt, okay, or kill you to that extent. Your boss's reaction of negativity is you're being fired, hand you the pink slip, that's it, you're off. What about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's negative reaction?
It's the hellfire.
يوم ترونها تذهل كل مرضعة عما أرضعت. On that day, you will see the mother who is nursing her baby drop her baby, whatever she was nursing. وتضع كل ذات حمل حملها. Every single pregnant female will drop whatever she's pregnant with. وترى الناس سكارى. You will see mankind in a state of drunkenness, as if they are drunk. وما هم بسكارى. They are not drunk. ولكن عذاب الله شديد. Verily, the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very severe. If you are acting as if Allah is watching you every single moment, my dear brothers, we wouldn't. Not for a single second, because a camera can freak you out. What about the eyes of Allah? As we heard the story of the pious, some people related and attributed to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where they said that, each one of you will be given a sweet and try to eat it in such a place where no one can be watching. And one of the brothers, he said that I couldn't eat it because wherever I went, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was there. Now there's a question, how can Allah be in every single place at every single time? Okay? There's a question. I know many of you might have this question. How can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how can He be there every single time? Now, this easiest way and simplest way to understand is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is everywhere, every time, ilman, knowledge-wise. Allah knows what's going on everywhere at every single time. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Ma وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. They ask you about the spirits. وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. We have given you from this knowledge except little. So this scientific era that you have, where at any given moment you're living in New York City, just recently I think, subhanAllah, in New York City, NYPD, they had the surveillance of the Muslims. You heard about it? The report? They have been doing it. They have been working closely with some of the undercover detectives and the plainclothes officers, and they were watching each of the masjid activities, each of the Muslim second generation and third generation businesses. You guys are from Ozone Park, so you guys can understand there's a lot of heat. And in the college, any of the MSA groups or any Muslim groups or any ethnic groups, minority in Yale and Columbia and different Ivy Leagues all over the country. The NYPD were watching them and they took out every single detail. They even took out details of the tabligis. MashaAllah, they took out the report that is very beneficial for tabligis who do gasht. Make sure you guys get a hang of that report. But imagine how incomplete intellect can bring about the information of the many with just a small effort. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not use incomplete intellect, my dear brothers. Allah has complete foresight, perfect foresight, astaghfirullah, perfect foresight. Allah has every single knowledge. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell us on that day, each and every single thing, and not just Allah. إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا. On that day when the earth starts to shake very violently. وَأَخْرَجَتِ الْأَرْضُ أَثْقَالَهَا. And the earth starts to take out its burdens, its responsibilities. The dead bodies is going to start taking it out. وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا لَهَا. Mankind will say, what happened? What's going on? يَوْمَئِذٍ تُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارَهَا. On that day, earth will start to give its news. Every single thing that happened on earth, Allah will order it. بِأَنَّ رَبَّكَ أَوْحَى لَهَا. Allah will order it to speak. Allah will order it to speak. Where will he go? Where will I go on that day? Will it be worth it to have an illicit relationship on Facebook on that day? Will it be worth it to have that comfort of that girl that I was talking to? The pattern of the dunya, strange, isn't it? How you find so much comfort in the arms of a lady. The warmth, the soft skin. It seems as if it's worth it for us, for just this terminal moment, that I would like to be with her. I would like to understand her. And I would like her to understand me. And I would like it if my father understood how blissful our love is. If my mother understood how blissful our love is. But will you be able to give that understanding to Allah on that day? Will you be able to, my dear brothers? Tell me honestly, will I be able to? Ya Allah, look, I loved her. She was my Juliet and I was her Romeo. I gave my life for her. So many idiots we have turned into. Kill ourselves, cut ourselves, write your girl's name on your arms. Show it on your Facebook. I love her till the end of time. No, you guys think, I'm speaking specifically. Allah is my witness. Myself and yourself. This is a reminder to us all. And then you realize that the pattern of the dunya is always there. You are not the first person to love a girl, my dear brother. I was never the first person to love a girl. This trend has been going on since before us, hundreds of years. And unfortunately, it will continue going on. History will repeat itself. It is those who learn from history to understand that the girl is maybe not your best interest. Maybe the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us, that if you want to love a girl, do it the proper way, the righteous way, where it's 80% character, where her character takes you and reminds you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many relationships that we know, forget that, our parents, do they have a blissful marriage? Honest to Allah. Where is the love that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had with Aisha radiallahu anha, where they would race with one another? Where they would remind you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is true love, my dear brothers. When you see a girl and that girl reminds you of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is true love. When that girl reminds you that there is, both of you can actually attain true love, and that love can be attained if you both love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then love each other for the sake of Allah. Yes, there is a hadith that ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir. But this hadith does not apply to a girl or the fortunes, because Allah has made it halal upon you. You are allowed to consume the halal, the good, lawful things and the earnings of the dunya, provided with the condition you do it right. Because if you don't do it right, then the pattern will keep on going. Your pattern will go. You think as you turn older, you're 18, you fall in love, teenage love, 25, money problems start coming in your head, responsibilities start coming in your head. Next thing you know, you break up with the girl's life is gone, your life is gone, both of you start turning ghetto, both of you start saying, you know what, I have a job now, I don't care about her, I found another girl, fish come and go, there's so many fish in the sea, and then afterwards, holding grudges over love is an ancient artifact, right? Right? So then after that, when you turn 30, when you turn 40, when you actually get married, and then you think, maybe I made a mistake. And that was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam told us, in the youth, holding on to the iman, on the day of judgment, there will be amongst the 7 people who will be under the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because he knows, he knew how hard is it. How hard is it? I know your parents don't understand you. I know my parents don't understand me, my dear brothers. But we always know that Allah understands us. But unfortunately, that we don't understand Allah. And once we don't understand Allah, our first objective, since it's not completed, we forget Allah. And once we forget Allah, everything turns sweet, affectionate. And Allah, you know what Allah says about these people? زَيَّنَّا لَهُمْ أَعْمَالَهُمْ. We will make their actions very beautiful to their eyes. Very beautiful. So what? Islam never says that dating is haram. I have brothers who comes up to me, tells me, Islam never says dating is haram. Which the Sahaba used to date, subhanAllah. You have some brothers, I'm telling you straight up. The Sahabas used to date. They used to go see a girl, and if they liked, they would get married. They used to go out a little bit. Seems very rational, right? Very rational. The Sahabas used to go out, see a girl. Umar radiallahu anhu, when he entered Jerusalem, when he took over Jerusalem, he said, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ. Tell the believing men to look down, that the materials of the dunya is nothing for you. If you conquer a land, what would you do? Forget that, my dear brother. If you conquer a house, what would you do? You are so insignificant. You know, we are here in Masjid Tawfiq in Elmhurst, New York. Elmhurst, New York. We are here. People in the next block, forget next block, people in the next house don't know who you are. They don't know you. They don't care about you. You are a non-entity in their life. You are a nobody. Because all of us like to think that we are important, correct? All of us like to think that we are important. We are very important. And you know the crazy part? They may not give you importance, but subhanAllah, Allah gives you importance. Allah gives you that importance. But unfortunately, we do not give that importance back to Allah.
How does he give the...
Go on. Go on. I like this. Go on.
How does he gives the importance to us?
How does he give that importance? If you were not that important, then on the day of judgment, he will not ask you, what were you doing? If you were not that important, then for your good deeds, he will not give you for what you earned. If you were not important, then he could have just left you idle. If you weren't that important, then karma wouldn't have worked. If you weren't that important, then all of those good things that you're doing will be gone blind. That means on the day of judgment, so what? You did good deeds, so what? What does that do to me? What does that do to you? You gave some poor man food. You met him on the street, on the subway, you gave him $5 to eat. You expected reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why? Why? He doesn't think you're important.
Very good deed.
Why? But you're not important though.
So it shows that he cares for us.
Exactly. Does that make sense now?
Yeah.
Thank you. Think, my dear brothers, and myself, how important Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in our life. And once we understand this, the highest stage of ihsan can come up to us. That the concept of God is finally forming in our head. And once the concept of God forms in our head, then ultimately sin starts to decrease. On those days, the days of the Sahaba, marriage was very common with one another. They would get married. Prophet ﷺ's adopted son got married and Prophet did not even know about it. Do you know what was uncommon? zina, fornication, illicit, illegal relationships. Very uncommon. 3, 4, 5. And subhanallah, they came and they expressed and they confessed to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Today, marriage is so uncommon. For marriage, it has to be, what is it? They have a reception. Before they have a reception, they have a, I don't know, a gahulud. What is it? What is it?
Yeah.
A guy hulud, and then they have the engagement parties and everything else. So marriage has become so uncommon, but zina, fornication became so common. Complete opposite of what the Sahaba and the Prophet ﷺ went through. There is a very deep understanding over here. Is that when sins start to blacken our lives and darken our lives, we start to think that this is the right way. There are groups that's going around in the colleges these days and MSAs telling that homosexuality is legal. There are groups going around the MSAs in college, they're advocating homosexuality, saying that homosexuality is legal. There's nothing wrong with it. Nowhere in the Quran it says you are not allowed to be homosexual. And this is the state of the dunya. The state of the dunya. But do not think for a single second Allah is testing the Muslims. You know why, my dear brothers? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the most money in the world to Muslims. Khas, very few. Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, the Carlos telecommunications tycoon in Mexico, the steel giant in England. These people are billionaires with so much billions of dollars. But they still do not have money, more money than the entire Arab world combined. Ajib that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us wealth. We are not stagnating in wealth. There is no stagnation in wealth in the Muslim world. You know what we have stagnation in? Our iman. Our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is what we're being tested through time and again. And you know what is the most crucial thing? You guys, myself, that this dunya, you think, most of your friends, they think if you're going to Jamaat or you have become, they use that, was that term they used? Mullah?
Yeah.
You have turned into a mullah? But did you understand there's no such thing as a mullah in deen? This is not Christianity where you can become a priest or a non-priest, or you become a nun. There is no such thing as a pinnacle of piety in Islam. There is no groups of pious people. Everyone is required to obey and fear Allah alike. Just because my brother's wearing a turban, he has become a mulvi? Amazing, isn't it? We are afraid that if you have a little bit of a beard, you are considered, oh, he became a hujur. How narrow-minded we have become. How narrow-minded have we become? If we're doing Tabligh Jamaat, oh, don't do no mullagiri. Don't come to me. Don't, oh, where does it say Tabligh Jamaat is in the Quran? Where does it say? Ajib, isn't it? But then those people, and you yourself know, when you know the funniest thing about our hearts, this is another proof of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you're doing anything right in this dunya, anything right, anything positive, you have a sukoon, a peace in your heart. You have that peace. In Bangladesh, say shanti. You have it. That even if you go to someone's house, knock on his door, my dear brother, it's prayer, come to the prayer. Let's learn the 6 points of tabligh. He spits in your face. You know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you tenfold for what he has. Even though you have gotten spit in your face, you know that you, on the day of judgment, in front of Allah, you said, I will gladly take his spit 100 more times because what you have given me, Ya Allah. This is the iman that you are supposed to have in Allah. And this is the iman that you see. Some people say that you will get it in the akhirah. No. Actually, you actually can also get it in the dunya, because Allah says, وَمَن يُرِدْ ثَوَابَ الدُّنْيَا نُؤْتِهِ مِنْهَا. Whoever wishes the desires and the rewards of the dunya, we will give it to them. وَمَن يُرِدْ ثَوَابَ الْآخِرَةِ نُؤْتِهِ مِنْهَا. Whoever desires the sawab of the akhirah, we will give it to him. And you guys see it. Many times when you guys do, karma comes around. The world is very round, isn't it? Whatever you do, what goes around, it comes around. You guys notice it, because you do something good today, somehow you guys know that something happens, isn't it? It's nature, that's how it works. And this is the system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is inexplicable, you can't understand. No science can explain that. How does it happen? How does it happen? It seems like it's paranormal. You do something good, you have something good in return, although it might take some time. Some people, they gladly go through the hardships, as you guys are. You guys take the curse in your faces. And this is the fun. This is the fun of it. This is the fun of this work of da'wah. That I would gladly get cursed. I would gladly, happily, curse me, come on. Curse me as much as you want. Curse me, call me mullah, call me. Call me an idiot. Call me an idiot for making sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Come on, I dare you. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. You know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to curse you back. I'm going to make dua for you. I'm going to make dua for you. I'm going to make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help me helping you. Does this seem righteous to you? This is the footsteps of the fortunate. You know where we learned this from? We learned it from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Despite being stoned from Taif. He was being stoned to the extent his feet was bleeding with the sandals being overflown with blood. Yet the angels came asking, Ya Rasulullah, give us the order and we will, because Taif was a valley, it was a wadi. They said, give us the order, we will smash it. We will smash it. You know what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says? No, I can't. And none of the Sahabas, most of them, as you see, Umar radiallahu anhu took out his sword, about to slice a person's head off. The person spit in his face. What did Umar radiallahu anhu do? He took his sword and put it back. He says, until then I was supposed to kill you for the sake of Allah, and now anger has taken over me and I will never kill you for myself. And he put his sword back down. These are the warriors. These are the warriors that we're looking for. And nowadays, we're looking for Batman. Did you know they have one of the cities of Brazil, they're paying a dude for being Batman, a vigilante? We have the Marvel superheroes that we look into. We think of them, fantasize that what if I was a superhero? My dear brothers, you guys are all superheroes right now. But the only thing is that you guys don't realize it. Realize your worth. Our teacher used to say, Apni qadr pehchano, not for pride and not to show off, but to understand how lucky you are to be amongst those people. Because on the day of judgment, you will be with the siddiqeen, with the truthful, was-shuhada and the martyrs, was-salihin and the righteous, wan-nabiyyin and the prophets. Would you rather be standing with the non-Muslims and the non-believers and the sinners on the day of judgment, or whether you be standing with the fortunate ones in the line before Allah, who will enter Jannah in rows without any questioning? This is a desire we're supposed to have. At the same time, am I supposed to isolate myself from the dunya? Am I supposed to know, I'm going to become mullah, I'm going to go? No. My dear brother, he's working, he's an engineer. You guys can have every single legal desire. You want to be a scientist? Be a scientist. No one told you to become a mullah. But did the Prophet tell you to act pious? Yes. Did Prophet tell the woman to act pious? Yes. In that case, then every single Muslim is supposed to be a mullah. Sad, isn't it, how narrow-minded we have become? Sad and scary that on the day of judgment, where will we go? Do not think for a single second that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgot us. وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ. On that day, the girl that was buried alive will be asked, بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. Why was she buried alive? She will be asked that question, not the one who buried her. So look how scary this situation is. The baby girl that was born and it was buried alive. Because the Arabs, they would bury their baby newborn girls alive. Allah says, وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ. On that day she will be asked, بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ. What crime did you commit? What crime did you commit? So now these sex slaves they're taking in Uganda or in every single places around the world, do you think Allah is not watching? Do you think that justice won't be served for these people? Do you think for a single second, do you believe that this is the cruel world, there will be no justice for them? Can anyone tell me for a single second? The cruel world? How incomplete, how insignificant our justice system is? Do you know that very recently, if you guys want Tyler Clementi, you know the homosexual from Rutgers, the Darun Ravi kid, he got convicted of the biased hate crime. He got convicted. Now they're saying that they're going for his innocence. Do you guys keep up with the news? It's good that you guys should keep up with the news because so many things happen around the world that we must understand and comprehend to.
Was that when the video recorded?
Yes.
Like the college or something?
Yes, in Rutgers College in New Jersey. My dear brothers, Allah kept you as a primary concern in His eyes. Each and every single 7.2 billion one of us. Even though we do not... Be real, man. What goes on during the 7-day week? Do I care about what happens to Zubair? To be honest, honestly, I may ask once in a while, Zubair, how are you? Or I may have some concern, Zubair, how are you? But in actuality, who do you care about? Yourself, my nafs. Nafsi ammar. How do I solve this problem? How do I solve that problem? Your world revolves around your little head. Your little head. Both of your little head. That was a joke. Whoever got that joke. It was a good deed. Most of the time, when you're going after a girl, you're thinking with the wrong head. Did you understand? Please, my dear brothers. And is it true that after today, Masjid Tawfiq, you guys are going to turn sinless? Is it true? That's it. You have become such a repenter that there was no sin for you guys. Is it true? Is it true? Can anyone guarantee this to me? No. That means you have to understand something else. That mankind will keep on falling in a pit. It is one another who will help to pick each other up. My dear brothers, have that open heart. You can go in a dark mood in your life, a very dark age, or a very dark space where everything turns dark. You do not listen to Zubair. You do not listen to anyone else. You do not listen to Abdullah. You do not listen to any one of your closest friends. Life changes, love changes, best friends become strangers. And then, you must understand that Allah is always there. Keep each other as a backup. Please, have this open mentality. Do not ever have a narrow-mindedness. Do not be narrow-minded. This characteristic of narrow-mindedness is going to destroy us. Do not ever be narrow-minded. Do not ever be discouraged. Even if I were to tell you tomorrow, if shaitan was to get me, Allah forbid me, and he used to tell you tomorrow, move away from the work of deen. Move away from the work of deen. Move away from the work of tabligh. It's not proven. You know what you should say? That even if I'm doing 1% benefit, let me do it. Let me do it. You understand? Carrying the conversation, but this is something very important, that we understand Allah for who He is. You understand? Strange, isn't it? When you fall in love, when you're infatuated with a girl, when you seriously were infatuated with a girl, then that girl's love has become so attractive and so binding that you can compromise anything. Your father, your mother, your money, your house, everything. Everything. How many times we see billionaires with young, beautiful, luscious-looking girls, and they give, next thing you know, after the marriage, a few months later, there was no prenup, divorce, and that's it. Half of the assets gone. And then they gladly give it away. They're paying alimony. You understand? This is a realistic world. I'm just giving you a practical example. Practical example. You go, you start dating. Before, you would never spend a single dollar on yourself. Eyewitness. I'm telling you that right now. I never spend a single dollar on yourself. Never care how you look. You spend now $50, $60 every week to see how your get-up is going, and buying your girl's gift and everything. Things that you never bought your mother. Things that you never bought your sisters. It seems very direct, but I'm telling you because it's a frank world right here. Because you guys are youngsters, you guys understand. No one's deaf over here. We're not in a third world country right now. I'm speaking straight up to your faces. Things that you never bought your father, things that you never bought your sister, things you never bought your brother, you would gladly give it to a stranger. Why? Because she's giving you this comfort. Forget that. They know it's not comfort. You know why? Because after a few months, it becomes a nagging burden. It becomes a nagging burden. And then, the same girl and the same guy that understood you doesn't understand you anymore. And then, it's off. Looking for the next fish in the sea. Is that how we want to live our life? Meaningless, rendered life? Is that it? Do you really want to live a life like that, my dear brothers? Do you really wish to do that? Is it worth it? It seems so, isn't it? The Americans, the Europeans, they're living in the life. Miami Beach, spring break is coming up. Oh my God. Spring break, whatever happens in Miami stays in Miami. Whatever happens in New York stays in New York. The party central of the world after Spain, Ibiza, is New York City. Don't get it twisted just because we live in Ozone Park. The whole upper class Manhattan, you haven't seen it. I just opened my eyes today. I went to Bronx today, Capitol Hill. The place is so ghetto, it makes Ozone Park look like I'm sorry to say, but Ozone Park is not such a big, it's just a middle class area, but it makes Ozone Park look like a big neighborhood. Or this Elmhurst area. These are all lower middle class areas, isn't it? Right? But Castle Hill was so broken. There's a brother over there who donated $100,000. $100,000 cash to the mosque. Cash. Now, of course, we have many brothers who give this donation. The reason I'm telling you this, his son does not believe in Islam. His son asked, what is Islam? His daughter, somehow, I don't know if she's a Bengali. This is not backbiting because it's an example for us to understand. His daughter believes that she is somehow Irish. How does a Bengali Siliti turn into an Irish? This is a very, It's very strong eye opening. The world is very big. The world is very big. You have a lot of work to do. You know how people don't like to concern us with them? Unfortunately, we are the followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Everyone is our concern. Everyone is our concern. Whether it is a non-Muslim outside, whether it is a big Muslim as in our father in our house. Keep that in mind. You are doing the work of the prophets. And not just one prophet. You are doing work of every single prophet. The work of the Sahaba and the followers of the Sahaba and the footsteps of the fortunate are upon you. The work of the angels. The work that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves. Yes, you are doing it in a systematic procedure. But don't think for a single second that there is no proof for it, because there is proof all over for it. The only difference is you guys follow a system. Please, my dear brothers, remind one another with fear and taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remind one another always that fear Allah, fear Allah, fear Allah. And this fear, we went over this, is not the fear that Allah will kill you. No. This is not the fear that when you see a tiger, you know what you fear for your life. This is not the same fear. This fear is the fear of love. You understand? For example, if your father was to stand behind you, you say you are afraid of your father, correct? But are you afraid that he's going to kill you? What type of fear? No. Your father's going to kill you? Think. Train of thought. Follow the train of thought. If your father is standing behind, let's say he's a strict guy, he beats you all the time. If you think if he's standing behind you, most cases, do you think he's going to kill you? No. No, he's going to beat the crap out of you, of course. But is he going to kill you?
You might get to the point.
I see you're very reckless, aren't you? You must give him a reason to kill you. Don't go home tonight. No wonder he's staying with us. He's not going home for a reason. Well, the fear of a father is not the fear of being killed. Just like that, your boss, you're afraid of him, isn't it? At work or your school, your teacher, you're afraid of him. That's a respect fear. But the fear of Allah is not the fear that He's going to destroy you, no. It's the fear of love. That I love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how can I disobey Him? Did you ever realize that? Most of us translate this fear to be the fear of killing or Allah being throwing us into Jahannam. You know how you love your mother, but you're so afraid that if you do anything wrong, you cannot show yourself to your mother, your face? You know, mom, if mom finds out, she's, what's she gonna feel? You understand? You know what I'm trying to say right now? Mom, how am I gonna say I show my face to my mom? If I do this, I can never show my face to my mom. Even though you know your mother will never touch you. It's just the pain she's gonna get, and you cannot bear to have that pain. You are so afraid of that. This is the fear Allah is relating to. That you cannot, please, that how can you give that anger and pain to Allah in terms of not physical pain? The understanding is that how can you disobey Allah and disappoint Allah? Exact word I was looking for. You're afraid to disappoint your mother. And that is a disappointment. The love that you do not love Allah so much that I love Allah, I will never want to disappoint Him. I may make mistakes some once in a while. I may even commit zina by accident. I'm just giving you worst case scenario, but Allah is always ever forgiving. My dear brothers, I will leave. Brother Zubair will die. I will die. As Brother Yusuf died a few days ago. As his children will die. As your mother will die. Your sister will die. Your brother will die. You will die. Only one being will be ever eternal and ever living, and that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on whose belief you came here today. Please do not ever let that go. Don't ever let that go. Any moment during your life. Let us go. Forget us. We are nobody. Forget us. Forget yourself. But don't forget who owns you. Jazakumullah.
I have a question. Can you explain to us that when you said we're superheroes, how are we superheroes? When you said it earlier?
Can anyone explain why I can refer to us as being superheroes?
Yeah.
Can anyone explain?
Can you explain? I want you to explain.
We know. Who's your favorite basketball player?
No.
You don't follow basketball? What do you follow?
For movies.
Movies. Who's your favorite movie star?
Actor?
Yeah.
I have quite a lot.
Okay, who's your favorite? Christian Bale?
Yeah.
I see you got the hairstyle.
Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone, I see you're a man of the 80s, eh?
And then Arnold
Schwarzenegger. Yeah, you're a man of the 80s. Terminator. So, what else? What else did they, when he came up with another one? What is it? No. What is it? The one that is a mercenary. The what? The Untouchables?
I haven't watched it.
Yeah, watch it.
How can you be a Stallone fan? What is it?
That's it,
It's
man.
not Untouchables. Come on, that sounds so weird. The Unbreak? No.
Unthinkable.
The Mercenary with Stone Cold? Steve Austin?
Expendables.
The Expendables.
Oh,
wow. The Expendables.
Yeah, the first one, right?
The
Yeah.
Expendables. You watched it?
Yeah.
What makes you? Why did you like Sylvester Stallone? Explain yourself. Why do you like him?
I mean, he's not the best. He's okay.
Okay, but I asked you who's your favorite.
I like them equally.
Who do you like as an actor? By the way, they're terrible actors
Why do you say that?
because they can't act.
Well, that's him.
You know, they're not on the level of Al Pacino or none of them. But right? They can't.
No, he's the worst.
Who?
Al Pacino.
Well, I don't think their movies speak for themselves. I'm pretty sure most people can agree that their actors are much better than him. People, George Clooney, these are actors who can act, who can take you into acting. But why do you like him? But anyways, we're straying from the top. Why do you like him as an actor? Or why do you like him as an idol or a role model? Explain yourself. Why do you like him as a fantastical superhero?
Because the actions he does in movies.
So you like him on a pretense of on a fake thing. So on a fake dimension that he is in, portraying himself as a fighter, you like him based on that. Correct? So basically you like something and you revere something that doesn't exist. You ever thought about that?
Can you repeat it again?
You like someone of something on the pretense that he did something in a not real world, in a fantasy. You understand? He's a mercenary. You ever think Sylvester Stallone he's a 60-year-old guy? You think he's going to be a mercenary?
65.
65. Wow. Wikipedia comes handy, eh? So you think that you like someone based on something that he did not do. You said you like him because of his actions, but he does. Most of the time he has a stunt double doing it. So if I say, what's your name?
Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali. I like, what a beautiful name, mashallah. Muhammad and the son-in-law of the Prophet Ali and his cousin. So Muhammad Ali. So now you like Sylvester Stallone because his actions, which he did not do in a movie. You get it? Did you understand?
That's not what I said.
I know what you said. You said you like him because of his actions. I explained it further.
Okay.
That you like him because of his actions, but he did not do his actions. We're not laughing at you. Remember that. We're laughing with you. And don't worry, these guys, if we print out, it's going to be the same exact situation. But thank you for being honest. So how old are you?
18.
You're not 18.
18, yeah.
You're 18?
No, I may not look like, but I am.
You're 18?
Yeah.
Oh, mashallah, you age well. It's a good thing. Mashallah, I thought you were 13. No, not the way you were talking. It's just you have a very young face. So you like Sylvester Stallone on action, right? But he's an action star. But he does not do those actions.